right afterwards. It won't be done uploading right away, but then obviously you'll have it when it is. And
Sounds
okay,
good.
if you have any questions anytime, you can message me as well. All right.
Sounds
So,
great. Thank
what got you interested in coaching?
you. Just in general, I have a history in Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yep.
Um, and I played that for 9 years, and then I got burnt out competitively. Also, was not great for my mental health, so I decided to go into coaching myself for that. And then I saw the rewards of that. And then when I got into Overwatch, my friend Sock here, he was like my coach starting out,
Yep.
and I've definitely watched your VODs to complement his coaching just to gain more stuff on my own. And I
Yep.
figured, why not get another pair of eyes, someone who's done it, I guess, more often, and can probably point out stuff that probably I don't see, and probably stuff that he could probably see as well, that
Yeah. Sure.
or
Sure.
reinforce other things that he's already mentioned to me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 So, I break me down. I usually don't always dig into this, but I think you have an interesting case here. Break me down your Super Smash Brothers history, and then how did it spiral out a little bit out of control there in terms of your mental health, and what was nice about the coaching, and then what was nice about the transition to Overwatch? Like, I want the full story here.
Okay. So I started back in 2015 for Melee.
Yep.
Funny enough, with Sock, he was the guy who basically got me into it. And I just took off with it. I traveled as much as I could because there was no online for it, so you had to go to people's houses to play.
Right.
So did that for a long time. I became friends with really like top players, got a lot of good advice. Um, really didn't know how to utilize the advice. I didn't do a lot of VOD analysis like my first 4 or 5 years. And eventually I got coaching from another top player for my character. That helped out, but eventually I realized the way they were teaching was not necessarily the way I wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stopped that. And from there, I just basically started doing self analysis. I really started breaking down how top players approach things, started pointing out areas of weaknesses for me and seeing how top players deal with that, or even if they even get into that situation to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So those are things I looked out for. And then eventually I had people reach out to me for help and started doing bot analysis for other people, Patrick included, or Sock in the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Competitive wise, I developed an ego too fast. And I mean, after 9 years, I can say that safely and comfortably now. But at the time, that really held me back. And I developed a sense of entitlement that was very hard for me to drop. I did drop it for a little bit, but it still lingers. And um, it's just where I'm at with the game now is I'll play it for fun as much as I can. And if I ever feel myself get to a point where it's not getting fun, I'll take my like 3 4 day breaks. I've even taken up to 2 weeks breaks just away from the game, um, just to leave it as is. I did as much as I could in the community and in the game. And when I reconnected with Patrick years later, a couple of years ago, he talked about his history in Overwatch and how he played it. He's been playing for a while. And when 2 years ago, Gundam Evolution came out, which was supposed to be like a Gundam but Overwatch,
Mm-hmm.
I got into that and I love that a lot, just because I love Gundam in general. So I got into that, and basically Patrick would help me coach that game with his best knowledge of Overwatch and try to transition over to that game. Very a lot of similarities, but there was some huge differences as well.
Sure.
Sadly, the game died and all the service stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'll play Overwatch and get into that.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Now, when you say you developed an ego, and an ego specifically too fast, elaborate on that a little bit for me.
Um, my first couple years, I became like, I guess, quote unquote, good in my area. Like I was starting to be people that like gave me a lot of trouble. So I'm like, oh, I'm getting like better and better. And then I started competing more, and I had expectations that I set too high. I didn't know how to properly address competition. I didn't like read or gain education for that. So like going into it, you go with these expectations, you lose, and I was always worried about like what other people would think, like, oh, he's not that good and not that good. And so it's just like it gets to an unhealthy place. And every time like I would compete or I would play on stream, it would just become like my brain would like move a mile a minute, and I couldn't like calm it down. And it got to a place where like if that would happen, I was uncomfortable. If I was just playing a tournament and I didn't perform how I wanted to, I get uncomfortable. um then I started reading books like In a Game of Tennis,
Mm-hmm.
I watch. I talked to my friend's coach, who was on CLG, um, and he helped me a lot. He wrote me like a guide on like how to approach competition, and I felt like I got to a point where I really couldn't fully revert as much as I tried. I tried to take breaks. I tried to just play casually for a while, and um, even like to this day, like I'll still like tilt sometimes if I'm like playing and like I lose to someone I quote unquote shouldn't like lose to. However, with newer games now, I've just learned not to do that. I always try to humble myself. I always try to remind myself it's me versus me out there, not me versus other people. I'm there to make my own spot, not to take someone else's spot.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right. Why is that important?
which one?
The me versus me mindset.
Because you can always reflect on your self growth, and I think looking at that, there's always something to be proud of, and comparing yourself to others, everyone's different, and that's something I learned the hard way, just in life in general. So going down your own path always seems to be more rewarding than trying to drive other people's paths that you don't know what their background is at all. So
Right. 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 A funny way to look at it is like if Rock defined himself as beating scissors, then Rock would have too big of an ego. If Rock defined
right.
himself as losing the paper every time, then Rock would feel too badly about himself. And that's usually where life is that there's things that we're good at, there's things that we're struggling with or improving at. But if all we do is we focus us on the victories, or all we do is focus us on the losses, that we lose the dimensions of a full picture of ourselves. And that's why it's so important to just focus on what you need to be doing better, because that is a full round, well-rounded picture. And it's an infinite skill curve, right?
Right.
If you're limiting, okay, I need to be winning every 1v1 in that situation, either that's going to be totally unrealistic, or if you succeed at that goal, that's probably not going to be good enough for you to reach the goals that you want.
Sure.
If you want to
That's a great way of putting it.
if you want to be flanking as tracer and one clipping backline every single time, it's not going to be happening. And it's like ultimately, like as you get better, the backlines are going to get better, and you're going to feel like you're starting from square one, but you're not. You've improved yourself. The competition has increased, right? So,
Exactly.
okay, all right. So sounds good. And how have you been liking Overwatch since you've joined?
Uh, so I
It's
played a
been it's
little
not
bit.
been that long, but I mean it's not been that short. Excuse me, but it has been relatively short compared to some of the old pros.
Exactly. So when Overwatch 2 first came out, it was like a couple weeks after Gundam came out. So all my friends that were playing Gundam immediately switched back to Overwatch 2 because they were hyped for it.
Yep.
Um, and so I'm like, you know what? I'll join you guys. And I was told to play Reaper starting out. I will not name drop this friend, but they kind of ruined my initial experience in the game. And they told me Reaper was like a mid-range character. And mind you, he's been playing for a while, so like I'm gonna take what he says and I'm gonna stay back, poke with Reaper, and
Oh
obviously
dear.
enough,
Oh
you get
dear.
rocked like that. And um, so I switched to Sojourn, and Sojourn is awesome. I definitely can appreciate her character as a whole now than I did then. But you could tell immediately, like if you're not mechanically inclined in a game, and this is also my first FPS game, by the way, on mouse and keyboard, let alone. So that character is very hard to play starting out. So as soon as you burn your slide, you're basically dead. And the lobbies I'm playing with, like I think Pat at one point he's like consistent diamond masters. So in my lobbies where like if you're not keeping up, it's basically a 4v5. Um, so once Gundam died, I switched over to Tracer. Sock told me to play Tracer. It was a character that would teach me the game as a whole. Um, you could do a lot, and the character probably has the highest ceiling in the game.
Yeah.
And I played a very similar character in Melee,
Which character?
Falco.
Nice.
Uh, he's probably one of the hardest characters to play, but he's very rewarding if you take the time to like really learn him and iron out all his stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel that when I play Tracer, and as I've been growing with the character, I can see those like really creative ideas that you can go, and that's what really draws me to the character. And as I've been getting better and learning the game more, I'm just it's all melting together more.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, the speed. If I remember correctly, Falco is pretty fast, right? Like
Yeah,
more movement oriented. Okay. Yeah.
definitely.
I like everyone. I've played a little bit of Smash at friends' houses,
Sure.
and I'm terrible. But yeah, I remember Falco being one of those higher skill ceiling characters just
Mhm.
because of the movement alone, and that's generally the case for I think every game in the universe. Like anything that's movement related, whether it's an MMO, a MOBA, a first person shooter, whatever, is you're gonna have mobility equals skill, right?
Mhm.
Because there's just more options and there's more choices, and that's definitely true for Tracer. As I'm seeing in your form, where you're trying to struggle to decide between taking these long flanks versus these short angles, what you call the MOBA flanks, because you take way too long to get the fight. I mean, that's it,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like that's it, right? What do? You can stay with your tank, but that's not going to be playing the character properly or
right.
getting value. So it's that dynamic that you have to find out. Okay, so at the time of the forum, the best Tracer in Silver 2. Is that where you're at right now?
No, I finally broke out of that hellhole of a rank, and I'm in gold. I think I hit that last week. So
Congratulations. Congratulations. My coaching is
thank you.
not good. It goes back in time. Okay, let's see. I play Overwatch currently 3 to 4 times per week with an average around 15 hours per week. Okay, how is that time spent? Is this duo queue, solo queue, ranked, quick play, arcade? How much of that is Tracer versus how much of that is the other characters? Fill me all in.
So about 95% is Tracer. I will
Okay.
say about 8 hours to 9 hours of that is probably competitive,
Okay.
with the rest of it probably being competitive. I would say like very marginal is like warm up in like FFA or Vaxta
Okay.
and stuff like that.
How's all that stuff going? How's the warm up? How's the deathmatch? How's the Vaxta? How's that all feel? Do you
No,
have a
it's great.
preference?
It's tremendously helped a lot. Saki always grinds that into me. He's like, I'm telling you, dude, you're gonna get better if you keep doing that every day, even if it's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
doing that, just keeping my hands warm at all times.
Good.
I
Good.
take breaks in between the competitive games. I watch
Good.
your VODs a lot, so I
Good.
follow those rules.
Good. Good. Good.
Um,
Good. I
yeah,
would recommend one detail if you haven't already done already is I would generally use Faxton minimally as tracer.
yeah, I use it for like 3-4 minutes
Okay.
tops. Yeah.
Perfect. 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 Okay. Sounds good. Let's see here. Goals. I understand how I can improve my positioning, learn when I can and cannot take fights, improve basic game plan, learn to begin improving micro, blink management, mechanics, trigger discipline, all of those things. That's why it's important to play deathmatch, right? Now, I will
Yeah.
say that all mechanical things with Tracer specifically are practicable in ranked as well.
Okay.
But just be aware of that. Long-term goals: learn how to play specific team compositions and adjust my play accordingly. Now, this is something that you brought up earlier in the forum as well, which was I don't quite understand how team compositions work. Okay, so you talked a little bit about compositions. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Sure. So I'm kind of a little bit better at it now, just because I've played so much. But
Sure.
learning how like a dive team would work necessarily against a counter dive team, like when it like how those like things interact with each other. Like
Sure.
if I'm playing Tracer and someone's playing Sigma, and I got a Hanzo on my team with a Brig and a Zen, like what am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to play with? And then
Mm-hmm.
like also understanding the opponent's team, like all right, like if I have Zen Orb, like who do I go for here, right? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know that's like probably like a lot of macro stuff and probably just will come with more experience, but just definitely something I want to start thinking about because I know will be important as I get higher ranked.
Sure. Give me just a second to pull things up
Sure.
for you. I want you to jump into my career profile here, and I want you to pick one of these crappy quick play games. Pick one, anyone.
Um, let's do Hollywood.
Hollywood, great choice. And here's what we're going to do. I want you to replace either Team Red or Team Blue's DPS hero with a Tracer. Which one? Junkrat, Soldier, Venture, Genji. Which one do you want to replace?
I'd replace the Venture with
Good choice. Venture sucked this game.
yeah.
Okay, so the Venture's gone. You are playing Attack, Tracer, into Junkrat, Soldier, with the Genji, Bap, Lucio. Okay, so how would you position as Tracer? What angle would you take as Tracer this fight?
If I'm on attack, I will go right side
Okay.
and scout for the Anna.
Okay.
See if she's out of position.
Okay.
Um, if not, if she's more like huddled in, I'll try to take away attention from the Junkrat and Anna.
Okay.
Um, now, if that position is closed off and I can, I'll try to maneuver left and go probably around and go behind the point and probably play point to drag attention
Okay.
so that my Reinhardt can probably push forward with the Genji.
Okay. Now here I'm gonna pull a fast one on you. You ready for this?
Sure.
Team Red is defending now. Team blue is attacking. And you have replaced the Junkrat on Team blue. You're attacking into Genji, Lucio, Baptiste, Venture, Ryan. Where do you go?
I'm attacking. I will go left side.
Why?
Left side. Because if the Bap's on high ground, I can go left to challenge him up the stairs.
Like here?
Yeah, if he's chilling up there, I could probably
if he's
go
here?
around. I mean, it would still probably do the same thing in my eyes, just because it would force him to like look at me and not at the opponent.
But wouldn't you be better served to take the angle that you talked about with the Ana in terms of making him turn around further and getting closer with a mini health back?
Oh, when I was talking about right side, I was talking about the rooms across from her, like
Gotcha.
this window, and then probably make my way over there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's do another quick play game. Pick another one.
Let's do Gibraltar.
Okay. Pick a Team Blue DPS to replace.
Okay. Team Blue DPS. Really.
So you're defending now.
I'm defending on Gibraltar. Into their column.
Do you replace Hanzo or Genji?
I'd replace Hanzo.
Okay. Where would you play?
I would play, if I'm defending here, I'd play in the room on the right across the bridge.
Like here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if Widow takes height, I want to contest her for it.
Okay. And then when it comes to if you were replacing, I don't know, Team Red is now defending. What do you do now?
Team Red's defending. I will replace Widow with Tracer.
Okay. And then where would you play if you were playing into a Brigitte, Lifeweaver, Hanzo, Genji, whatever attack?
I'd probably play the opposite side, like back to the other side of the bridge.
So you'd play here instead.
Where the carry is now. Yeah, I would play here.
Why? Why would you change from here to here?
Since I have no one really to contest high ground, this bridge is like good. So like, ball would be the only threat in that case.
So why would you change your angle from one side of the bridge to the other side of the bridge?
I really don't have a good answer for that. I think it's just off of feel.
Sure,
of like
that's
the team.
okay. That's okay. Basically, here's the thing. Okay, so you've been grinding away at this one, and you've done a good job giving me some good answers. Here's the good news. Team composition and macro doesn't change how you play all that much. That's Tracer.
Okay.
Your priority is to take a good short range off angle, and that's it. The only challenge that you need to be aware of is whether you are actually playing at an angle that complements your range or it doesn't. What I mean by that is, like, let's say we go to this here. All right. Let's say you were to take this angle here, and with the Ana positioned back here, why would this angle not be good for Tracer?
Because you're in front of everyone.
Because you're in front of everyone, but kind of, like, look at the Rhine, right? You're kind of creating a bit of a soft angle. You see that? But what's the problem? Yeah. At what range are you playing the Ana and Junkrat? You see this?
Especially far away, Ana. Yeah.
Far away, right? Now, if this was a Moira, maybe this would be acceptable. Why?
Because she can't reach you, but she can reach
Because she can't reach you, right? So if you're playing versus a more ranged backline, you might need to hustle to take deeper angles. Why? What's the difference between this angle besides the fact that it's deep and this angle?
You're closer.
You're closer. It's important to close the distance. Okay. But here's the funny thing. Let's say this Rhine was overextended and holding here, okay?
Okay.
And let's say the backline was back here. You wouldn't have to hard flank. You would also be able to go upstairs and shoot the Reinhardt in the back. Why?
Mm-hmm. Because he's pushed all the way up, so he's given up that space.
Won't you get poked out by the Ana?
Well, I can move past the Ana quicker.
Here's a question. Can the Ana see you? If she's here.
On the
floor.
She can't.
You see that? So you take an angle, a shooting tank, where the backline can't see you. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Your job is just to take an angle that complements your range. It doesn't matter whether it's a Zen comp or an Ana comp or a Moira comp. Just take an angle that complements your range. In fact, the only thing that you have to be aware of really is how many resources are you getting and how many resources is the enemy team giving you. You talked about, do I have a Harmony Orb? Okay, what does that mean when you have a Harmony Orb? Does that change where you play? No, not
No, just
necessarily.
chooses how aggressive I can be.
Sure.
Or how long I can stay in a spot.
Let's say you go backline and they're marking you with a Tracer that has Harmony Orb and you don't have any support. How does that change how you play?
Well, I'm playing for attention now instead of...
Yes, because
like
it's not a fair
isolation.
fight. Exactly,
Yeah.
it's not a fair fight, right? It's a 2v1. So all you need to do is take a short angle and decide how many resources am I getting, how many resources is what I'm fighting getting, and then judge your aggression accordingly.
Okay.
That's it. That's 90% of the stuff, the details that you need to know. There's a lot of stuff where people will be like, you need to play fast versus this, you need to play slow versus this, you need to play mark versus this. No. You need to choose the angle that you want to do and get value from where it is. You will win off of choosing the optimal angle for you. And what we'll do is when we look at your review in a second, we'll apply that knowledge. We'll apply that knowledge.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
I need perspective. I need to have a second pair of eyes. I feel that my mental is still in the fetal phase of its life. Right. It's so much easier to be a healthy learner when you have not little confidence in yourself, but like you're not like, oh, I'm the greatest, right? Ego is what kind of keeps you in the same position where you're at, right? So you know that you have much to learn, and then the Dunning-Kruger effect kicks in, and you think that you know everything, but you don't. And then
That's
eventually,
why I have stock. You'll
Right.
keep me in check. So
right, and then eventually, you're gonna start learning more and more about the game, or if you are self-aware of your own coaching, because you have coach or of your own play rather, you'll go, oh wow, actually, there's so much more about this game that I don't know, and that's where we want to keep you in that state. Right, there's always more that you can learn. Okay. I don't really have any other questions. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, I think I'm good to go.
Let's get a code rolling here.
Sure, I got you.
Got it?
Yep.
I just realized I think I was playing flats in that Gibraltar game. I think that was
Really?
flats. Yeah. I didn't realize it, but maybe it was flats. I'll have to go back and watch again some other time. Anyway, okay, let's take a look here. So, why this game? Why did you choose this game? What's particularly about this game stood out to you as being worthy of review?
So 2 reasons. One, I didn't play much comp when the replays were erased, so all the balls I had were gone. So I played like a long session yesterday, but I broke it into halves to try to get games. And I wanted to get one that was close and confusing. This one basically checked off all the check boxes on it, and it was probably the only one that I think I lost that was worthy. I think the other two that I lost were we had quitters like halfway through the game. So I was like, okay, well, there's not much here.
Okay, sure.
So
Okay, so when you talk about Tracer, what is Tracer good at? What's your priorities as Tracer?
I think the two big ones is, as we discussed, is take short off angle and time your engagements with your team.
Okay. How have you been at actually executing those things?
In recent times, I feel like I've been much better. There were times where I would go kind of early, and not necessarily hold my angle well. I have like this, especially like starting out, like as Tracer especially, you just die in one hit. So as soon as I get shot at, I usually just immediately crumble away. And I'm like, no, I'll go back into my hole and I'll go back with my team. I've been better about it in recent times where I'm like, I'm not super afraid of like taking some damage and holding a corner and seeing people are going to chase me or not. But sometimes in like the heat of the moment, I'll just like wimp out and I'll just like leave. And then now like a Reaper's like holding that angle or like kills my team or drops in and then does like an ult and kills my team.
Sure.
So-
So if you were to set yourself some goals without even having to look at this review, what do you think are the things that you need to be improving on?
Definitely holding angles longer, staying in fights longer, and focusing on one target more. I have this tendency that Thakis pointed out where I'll like get someone like low and then I'll start shooting someone else or start shooting tank again.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
Uh, I think it's just to like do something. Like I'm like still not 100% comfortable in like middle of fights. Sometimes I'll have like my shining moment and I'll like remember to do all the things, but for majority of the part, I'll be like, I gotta shoot someone else, and like I'll shoot immediately who's right in front of me, and my brain like forgets like, oh no, there's a
Sure.
one-shot Moira with no fade to the
Sure.
left of
Sure.
you. So
Sure. Okay. Sounds good. Any questions before we actually get to the gameplay here?
no questions.
Okay. Let's take a look here.
Sure.
So I'm gonna assume that you have some knowledge of what you're supposed to be doing, but I'm gonna ask a lot of questions. Like for example, why are you so wise and have such excellent taste in tracer skins? But maybe that one's not so hard to answer. I love this tracer skin.
So it's funny. I'll switch off between skins in between rounds. So I'll go from graffiti to rose just to throw them off.
Good. That's brilliant strategy. Min-maxing, I like it. So let's ask a question. Is this a short range off angle?
No.
Okay. How do you say that? Why do you say that? What makes you say that?
Well, there's no one really around me, so like my damage is like kind of pointless here.
What do you mean nobody around you?
There's no enemy that I can like really like focus, and I'm kind of out in the open.
Sure. That's the key one for me. It's not that there's nobody to focus. There is lots of people that you could be shooting here, but there's just nobody that's close. Nobody that really feels like it gives you a lot of cover. In addition, this is like the most common rollout position here. It's not bad to be stacked with your Soldier Mercy here. It just may not be optimal. But the big thing is that like most players do roll out here, right? So you're kind of just stacking with everybody. So I need a new rollout for you, at least at the start. Where should you go?
I guess if I were paying attention, I'd probably go right side.
Every single time when you roll out in this map? Because obviously you should change your angle depending on what you see, but what's a good safe rollout on this map?
Usually I go left just to contest high ground.
But what are you contesting high ground on an off angle?
I usually play that little room to the left if I can get there first.
Okay. What do you think about the quality of this off angle? Can you see people? Can you deepen this angle? Is it a deep angle?
It's not a deep angle, but I can deepen it.
Okay. How so?
I can go to the room behind them.
So to here.
Or under the bridge. Yeah.
Sure. Makes sense to me. So what do you need to be doing right now then?
Doing that. Going to the corner.
Right. It needs to be done. Because the problem is that you're just standing in the open here. You're not even clearing high ground. Like if you run into people straight forward, Tracer is probably the worst DPS in the entire game at just standing and shooting. And so now you have to back up because you didn't rotate quickly enough. And now do you have an angle? No. You don't have a position at all. Are you on a short range off angle?
Yes.
How long did it take you to get there?
Too long.
Why did it take you so long?
Because my initial rollout was not well executed.
Why was your initial rollout not well executed?
I think the song. No, that's fair.
It's the hardest one to answer, right?
Because usually I'm not used to like, honestly, like no one's like usually contesting me on the bridge immediately there because I'm usually the first one there.
Sure.
So the Sombra like kind of threw me off.
Sure.
And then, as I said, I panic like if I get surprised, so like I'll recall immediately and not blink to the corner and try to fight, even knowing that my Mercy and Soldier are there to help.
That's fine. We need a system, though. I need a clean rollout from you. A clean rollout. Okay. Assume the worst. Assume they're on Widow, Sombra, Reaper, Torbjorn, Baptiste, everybody, Winston Ball, Wrecking, Sombra, everything. Assume the worst. Okay. Take the angle, scout, then make your decision. All right? Now, I'm going to say that this angle here is probably going to quickly lose its savor the more you practice it, because what's going to end up happening is more teams are going to roll out here, and then you're going to end up having a really hard time getting a proper angle on the back line from this position here. Okay. I would generally recommend you taking an angle like this here and then looking to deepen pressure from here. That's going to be a little bit more consistent value. Okay. Yeah, a little bit more consistent value. You still have health packs to play around with here. You can also then wrap up through underneath here and go for a deeper angle if you want to. But I think that's your initial logic is fine if you'd actually executed what you wanted to do properly. Sure. You didn't. And so now this entire fight, you're on an angle, but it's too late.
Yeah.
And your downtime here has been atrocious. Good. Live. Good. You did lots the second half of this fight. This has been very, very good Tracer play since then. Is this a short range off angle?
Not right now, but I feel like on that part, it was like a game of chicken between me and the Sojourn.
Sure. Who's going to get support? You or the Sojourn?
Sojourn, 100%.
Why?
Because her team's right there.
Where's your team?
Right, still trying to catch up.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Problem here is timing. This angle's fine.
Yeah.
You could sit here, let them walk forward. Like, you have to let them walk out. You have to let them walk out. Sure. Imagine if you set a mouse trap and you ran after the mouse with the mouse trap. You know?
There's actually a game that did happen. There was a Anna sitting by herself. I went to go fight the Anna, and there was a Sombra on the other side who hacked me. I swear I had to be like a 3
yeah, sure. Could be, but like if they're AFK over here, they're not capping point, they're not putting pressure on your team. This is where your team is fighting here. Your team is not fighting over here. Now, if your team pushes up, then you need to push up with them. But the problem is here is this is a 1v1. Okay, nice job. Okay. But now the fight's actually sounds like it's actually starting.
And I have no blinks.
And you have no blinks. Your angle has gotten dramatically worse, and you're down 75 HP. You see the problem here?
Yes.
And it shows, right? It's a big problem right now. Let them come into your team or respond to your team's action. If you want to talk about how to improve your timing, because that was a question, pay attention to what your team is doing and pay attention to what the enemy team is doing, and then make a decision accordingly. With the information that you had here, you can't see the enemy team through walls. I get it. But you can hear your team, and you can walk this corner and check this. You can see this. You see this? Okay.
Yeah.
And then in addition, what can you see on your screen? You can see Sojourn. You can hear Sombra over here. That's more than enough information. And you also know Winston's in spawn. That's more than enough information to know this is not good time.
Okay.
Make sense?
100%.
Okay. And when you mess up and get forced out because you screwed up, where should you go?
Back and find the off angle.
Where?
Back up the stairs.
Where else could you go?
The tunnel.
You see this? You might not even know this position or haven't really used it before. You can also go here and use the
Well,
jump
I
pad,
always see it. I just don't know how to get up there.
Use a blink or two, I believe. Blinks have verticality, don't forget. So I believe you'll have to use a blink here, but you might be able to do it. Okay. And again, this is one of those things where if you don't know, you need to figure it out because you need to open up your options here.
Okay.
Because it's better than the alternative, which is just deer in headlights, right?
Yep.
This is the opposite of the previous fight where it was you were totally useless because you screwed up early and then committed to a good angle afterwards and then cleaned up nicely. This one, you started okay. You just cashed in way too early from poor timing, and then now are just totally out of the fight.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even want to look at this fight, frankly, because this is just... Oh, well, actually, I'll see this pulse bomb. Let's see this pulse bomb. Oh, nice pulse bomb.
We have different names for my pulse bombs.
Give me the names.
There's the Nemo Pulse, which is my original name. That's the Nemo Pulse.
Yeah.
Where I pulse tank and I kill someone else for it.
Yeah.
Then there's the non-profit pulse, where I actually just pulse someone correctly. And then there's the MOVA pulse, where I get a 2-for-1.
See, they're all good ones. They're all good ones.
Yeah.
I think pulsing Winston is good as long as you chip down a little bit of his armor first, but it's good.
Yeah.
You know, actually, it doesn't matter if you chip down his armor anymore. Not since the armor changes. Wow, I didn't think about that. I mean, it's still good because, you know, he's going to be lower in HP, but yeah, okay, yeah, good stuff. What do you think of this?
I don't think I should be playing here. I should just play the corner.
Where's what corner?
Either up there. Yeah.
Here?
No.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, it's funny, at this point in time, with seeing where my Zarya is playing, I'm almost considering flanking around behind, going really deep. Because my Zarya is acting like she wants to stuff this.
Right. And then I can create a pincer behind them.
Yeah, so the irony here is that actually now maybe you're a little bit late. Like, this angle isn't bad, and your Zarya is kind of feeding, but if you wanted to complement your Zarya, you would have actually gone deeper here. Do you see the difference between this fight and the previous fight?
Yeah.
Previous fight, you were the one feeding, and your Zarya had to come up to catch up with you, and now the Zarya is feeding, but you're not helping her because you're just kind of like holding this position. Remember, the angle you have is contextual, but it's not contextual on the enemy team's comp all that much, or the strategy. It's just, where are we fighting? That's all.
Okay.
That's all. If you can answer that question, 90% of your positioning problems are solved. As the fights evolved, though, this angle has felt really good. The problem is the fight had to evolve to get to that point. And now it's too late. Now, if I'm coaching the Zarya here, I'm screaming at her, beating her over the head with a sledgehammer, right? Because that's her fault. She trolled. She was totally out of position compared to your Soldier, Bap, Mercy, Soldier, the whole 9 yards. But you could have alleviated that issue.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to keep letting this play out, even though this is more positioning related. But I want to see another... Wait, I know this. Nima pulse farm?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
See? Okay. Are you on a short range off angle?
Oh, at this point, I'm just fighting. But no, I'm not.
You actually are. Look at your Zarya. Look at you. You see it? It's 2 points of pressure. That's enough.
Sure. Okay.
That's enough. The reason why I'm asking you this is that you're right. You're just fighting. This is just a devolved, messy fight. But even in a devolved, messy fight, you can make sure that you're having another point of pressure from your team.
Sure.
So you're like, okay, my take is here. I'm going to be here. It doesn't have to be perfect. So guess what? This gets the thumb of approval for me.
So I guess a good question would be to, like, even if it's an off angle with another DPS,
yes,
I can stack with them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's having 3 points of pressure is great, but the first thing you should be prioritizing is having an angle that complements your range. Turns out this is a pretty decent short range angle on the Sombra, so it's good. Don't overthink it.
Okay.
Now, do you have a name for this pulse bomb?
The Brig.
Okay.
And I.
I call that one steaming manure.
Okay. I'm down for it. We'll add that to the list. Stock, make sure you note that down. Let's move up to the Google Doc.
Oh my days, you guys have a Google Doc. I love it.
I got it.
Thank you, Sock. The real goat. What's the problem here? Is this a short range angle? Kind of, sort of. Yeah? Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, yeah.
There's options here. What's the real problem here?
I'm shooting way too early.
I mean, you just know it, right? Like I can hear it in the replay code. Okay, here's the funny thing. I'm getting the sound cue from the fact that Zarya's voice line is coming through the radio. You know how they have like radio if you're far away?
Yeah.
You know? So I know that she's not here. So I know that anything I do here is just meaningless, right? And there he is. Bubble, recall forest. I'm low, I'm blinking, and now the fight's starting, and you are totally out of position now.
Yeah.
You might get there a little bit late, or you might get there a lot a bit late. It looks like you're getting there a lot a bit late because now you don't even have time to solve the problem, right? Now, solve the problem for me. Like, okay, let's say that you messed up. All right, what do you do from here? This is rough, right? It's a long-range angle, so what do you do?
Go down and play point.
You could go down and play point. Like, you might even use a blink to get here, right? Or maybe you have to wrap this way, or maybe you have to wrap underneath. I don't know. There's not a good answer here because you screwed up so badly, right?
Yeah.
But that's probably the best option because this is just... It's funny because do you see how like it's now it just feels like everything's just spiraled out of control. Yeah. Everything. Go ahead, finish your thought.
I was gonna say there's still a part of silver in me, so.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. Like the thing is you can understand these things, but you actually have to be able to execute them to be gold consistently.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
That's why Tracer is honestly probably my best character, one of my best characters in the game at coaching. I'm really good at coaching Tracer, if I do say so myself. But she's probably my second worst DPS behind Widowmaker, right? Like I it's just me knowing and me doing. It's not the same thing, and that's probably the case for you. Now, you do end up solving the problem. Your Zarya drops, you stay high, you find a short-range off angle, and this is textbook. So you get a little bit fortunate. The Graviton serve basically carried things for you.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know what? At least you got on an angle. Yeah, keep going. If your Zarya's gonna play, you need to keep going. That's okay. It's okay. All right. Any questions so far?
No, I think using my tank as a point of reference for my angle
Yes.
will be good going forward.
It's a good
Usually I
starting
get
point.
like, usually I'm like, oh, if I don't know the DPS is here, I'm like, I should stack up on them. But I guess I'll for now keep that stack going until.
Don't worry about it too much. I think the major point of problem is that maybe you're thinking too hard about that detail and missing the forest for the trees, like not finding a good short off angle because you're so obsessed with that. And then also you're totally screwing it when it comes to timing. You're not paying attention to where your team is set up, and when your team is fighting early, you're still like kind of screwing around. Okay. Notice as well that we didn't really talk about their comp at all. Why?
Because it's really not
Just not that
like
important. It's just not that important.
Game plan. Yeah.
Right. There's some exceptions, small things, like if there's a Widowmaker, maybe going for a deep angle on her. But again, this the same result as take a short angle. That's it.
Right.
That's it. And that's really all it is. What do you think?
I think this is better.
I think this is better. Obviously, you got a Rhine and Spawn, so be aware of that. But your Soldiers here, your Mercy's here, your Bap is here. You got a short angle. It's good. Remember, this angle would make sense if they were on Reaper, Junkrat. It makes sense if they were on Ana. If they're on Widowmaker and the Widow was scoped down at you right here, maybe you wouldn't want to peek at this here, but you could still hold this angle. Let's say there was a Widow. What would you do? Widow right
Wait
where
for a
the
shot.
is.
I'd stay there. If I heard the high heels, I'd wait, bait a shot, blink out, and fight the 1v1. To the left.
Like here?
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good to me. Close the distance, utilize the cover. You got it. Keep shooting. Don't be bullied out here. Like, you got hit by one mine. Your mistake.
Yeah.
I
know.
You know,
I know
go right back. Go right back. Contest this Moira. Break the trap. Shoot the Junkrat. Pull their attention this way. Do not let the Junkrat spam in this choke. Make him choose between this quote-unquote area or this quote-unquote area. Like, you have to choose. This is making it easy for him, right? Now you're like, oh, but I rotated to a different angle. But is it a better angle or is it about the same?
It's about the same. If anything, it's slightly worse because I had isolated people in that spot. Now I got 3 people that can
I will say this one has a health pack, which is really nice.
Okay.
So I would say it's about the same. I see what you're saying, but it's about the same. The difference, though, is that rotation costs you resources and time. That's the problem. Yep. 2 blinks, now you're in a less equipped position to pressure from the soft angle. I actually don't think you being here is a problem.
Okay.
Just think you need a good reason to move. And if you really like this angle, then why didn't you roll out here?
Right.
Take the angle you're given. And the funny thing is here is you get your recall forced and you panic. What should you do right now?
Blink back.
Blink back and stay. Stay on the angle. Stay harassing. If she chases you, she can't catch you. She can't catch you. They're not going to catch you. If they do, it's going to take them 6 years to catch up with you, and your team's going to win the fight. Instead, here you blink to panic back to your team, and ironically, this is the most dangerous thing you could have done, because look at where you are now. You see it?
Yep. I got 2 people that can
You
kill
got
me
2
right
people
now.
looking at you right now, and you've lost the nice, juicy off angle. And so now you're probably going to lose the angle entirely and or maybe die. And yeah, there it is. So now you've lost the angle entirely. Now you do end up on another angle, which isn't too bad, but it is worse because you've risked your life, taken healing resources, wasted your own resources, and now are forced to shoot at a range that's a little bit outside of your range and having to shoot a tank instead of shooting squishies. Shooting tank is fine if that's what position allows you to do, but you had a better opportunity there if you had taken it. And then now you're just stacked behind your Rhine because the short angle turns into not an angle at all. So actually, mechanically here, your aim is not too shabby for a gold tracer.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not. I would say it's not a weak point. For you to get to plat, it's going to need to improve a little bit more through more practice, but I don't think it's a major problem. I think you're doing fine. I think your training is showing. But you had initial
This was
angle.
great.
Well, yeah. I mean, as long as you can get set up before the fight starts.
Sure.
Now,
I don't know.
this is
Sometimes when I see my team push like that forward, I generally like to stay back because eventually my team will move back, and I usually wait for that because I'm under the assumption that the opposing team, will use resources to push by my team. So then that's usually when I want to go in. I
the
don't know if
problem
that's
is
like
that you're the most mobile character in the DPS cast, almost without exception, with maybe Sombra, right? So
Sure.
why would you not complement their push? Because what's the worst that could happen, right? At least if you play it properly, you lose your blinks, recall, whatever. You back up with your team to another angle.
Sure.
If your Ryan pushes here, you need to push. Don't assume anything. Don't assume anything. As long as there's a decent angle that you can help, then yeah, there is. The irony here is you talk about that, but it's actually you're the one that's pushing early. Right? You're the one that's baiting your Reinhardt forward. Because look what your Reinhardt does. I promise you he reacts to you. Okay, never mind. Okay, but even then, imagine this push if you've been paying attention to your Ryan. When would you have gone?
Yeah. A little bit later.
A little bit later. Why does that matter?
Because their attention's on him. And then
Their attention's on him,
isolate.
not you. That's what he's equipped for.
Yeah.
His job is to equip bait attention. Your job is to secure kills, right? So for you, this would have been a much better. You would have killed the Junkrat here because he still would have stayed here, and he might have like that. That's an opportunity for a kill there. And so the irony is even in those situations, your timing is just a little bit off, just a little bit off.
Yeah.
Now, here's a really important question about compositions. You ready for the strategy here? Okay, you get ready. This is like high level, super smart macro Overwatch League. Hold on to your butt cheeks. Should you play your angle on this left side, or should you mark Tracer on his angle?
Mark Tracer on his angle?
Mark Soldier on his angle, sorry. Should you take your angle on the left, or should you go over here and mark the Soldier in his angle? Assuming that you have time to set up for both, of course.
I go for the Soldier.
Why?
Because he's super isolated.
Okay.
He's a guaranteed pick.
Is he?
I mean, I could chase him and he'd have no resources.
Possibly, yeah.
Sure. And I have 2 support right there, so.
Sure, but aren't you also have an isolated angle on your side? There's nobody on your side. What does that mean for you offensively? What could you
I
do?
can deepen my flank.
You could deepen your flank and reach right to backline. Nobody's contesting you. Free kills in the brig. Free kills on this the Moira.
Sure.
So here's the answer. You ready? Again, the easy answer is that it doesn't matter. It's up to you.
Okay.
Totally up to you. If you look at this and you're like, I have a good angle for pulse bomb, I'm gonna go for backline. Go for it. If you think their Tracer has pulse bomb, I want to mark their Tracer, or their Soldier has visor, I'm gonna see if I can force that visor. Go for it.
Okay.
The answer is that it doesn't matter. Both are good plays. The key question, though, is do I have time to get there? Because there is one big downside about you going for the Soldier now. And what is that? Big downside. Resources. It's the same problem you had when you started here and shows it that, I don't like this. I'm going to move to it the other side of town, right? The problem is that it costs you blinks to get there. So as long as this here, you have blinks by the time you get to this Soldier, then you're good.
Oh, no, this is what I call confusion. I call this...
No, wait a second. It's confusion. Why? Because what's confusing about this?
Like, I don't... So, in my head, I immediately thought, like, well, if I go left, it's going to take me too long to get to them. And if I go right, well, I'm with my team, so I don't have an off angle. So I was just in this constant panic of, do I blink left? Do I blink right? Do I blink left? So I was, like, confused on which way to go. So eventually, I just see them fighting there. So I think I go down left, and I just shoot up towards the tank and the brig. Yeah.
I don't classify this as confusion, sorry. I classify this as a smart player thinking a problem through and coming up with a reasonable solution.
Okay.
Confusion is when you don't know what to do and you do nothing. You ever play
Okay.
Pokemon, right? I heard itself as confusion, right? A confused right? That's you wasted your turn. That's what confusion is. But confusion about not knowing what to do because you're thinking a problem through and trying to come up with the best solution, even if you come to the wrong solution, because you learn through that, right? This is fine.
Sure.
Are you on a short off angle? Kind of. You're thinking about it. You're Rhine dropped and you're like, okay, now I'm going to rotate back around here. So we could definitely critique your decisions, but I will not critique your mentality going into this fight. Yeah, I could tell the brain's turning here, and this is a really, really good sign for you long forward. long term, excuse me, moving forward long term. Now, knowing what you know now about this map, what do you think is probably the more consistent strategy or setup or position or angle? Or
Go
approach?
left behind the health pack here. Make my way there.
If you had not maybe burned your recall, or maybe even if you had burned your recall, I think maybe taking this left angle again, sneakily, waiting, and then harassing, playing Mega and harassing, probably be more consistent. If your team does let them fight on point, you can take this angle here behind. If the team fights them on point, you can go back to your first fight position here. This works as well. Do you see how this all revolves around where is my team fighting?
Yes.
This is why you cannot have good timing without a good angle. You cannot have a good angle without good timing, because how do you know when to fight if you don't know where your team is?
True. Yeah.
You see that? Because this is why this feels a little bad right now. It's because you haven't had time to set up, or you're scared to set up because you didn't know whether your Rhine was pushing or fighting on point or fighting top. And that is by far the biggest difficulty with ranked, is because you don't always have an immediate answer to that question. You'd have to figure it out on the fly. But obviously, going back and looking at it, I think you came up with a very reasonable solution that makes a lot more sense than what you do right here.
Yeah.
But by the way, what's a solution if this ever confronts you in game, right? Don't be confused. Think it through. Make a decision. And then, crucially, what do you do after the game's over? Socks. Go back and watch it again with Sock.
Okay.
Or even yourself, right?
Sure.
Think the problem through. Okay, where should I have been? Okay, why should I have been there? What was confusing me? Think the problem through. That's really what I'm here for, right? Is to help you think those problems through. But ultimately, like you saw with Smash, is it's a lot more effective if you're the one at least facilitating that conversation.
Right.
Because you'll remember it better. Because you're the one that had to sweat. Stacking with your soldier, Mercy, it's bad. Rawr. That's fine. That's fine. See, got a two points of pressure here. The difference between you and soldier as well is that soldier plays more like those mid to long range angles where you could deepen and do all sorts of corny short range stuff like this. What's the one thing you need to be cautious of right now? Think. Let me ask you a question. What's going on right now?
My supports are getting back to the fight, or their supports are getting back to the fight.
Right. Is there a fight going on right now? I'm not going to show you. Predict.
Yes, because their tank is still alive.
Okay. I'm going to actually predict the answer is no.
Okay.
I think that these guys backed off a little bit when they lost. Who was it? Who did your soldier kill? Soldier? Yeah. I think they probably backed off a little bit. I might be wrong. So my question is this a good time to go super deep? I think you need to be careful here. You might be overextending. Now let's see if I'm right. Nope. I think you're right. Because their Ryan has clearly not paid attention at all to what his team is doing. But this is still something to be... This is still something to be aware of, right? This is where, like, okay, if you want to talk about, like, when could I have been aware of my timing here? Probably...
Check before you chase tomorrow.
Maybe check before you chase, but certainly check now. I would certainly assume and blink out. Okay, you've put them literally... You've knocked the kid into a corner. Leave him be. Go back to your team. The Ryan's already isolated. You extending beyond here... might just get you.
Well, I saw the brig and I was like, I'm not trying to fight double support.
Yeah.
So
and there you go. Kill feed, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. So there's no mistake here. Let's be very clear. It's just something that's borderline you need to be very careful about.
Sure.
Again, it goes back to the timing. Is my team fighting? Is my Ryan capitalizing off the distraction that I'm forcing? If the answer is yes, that's great. I'd be taking an angle here. I wouldn't be sitting around a point.
I know. I heard the tire, so I'm just trying to go under immortality.
You're a tracer. You are a tracer. You have 3 blinks and a recall and a hit scan weapon. You are almost the best equipped character in the game when it comes to Riptire. Besides Sombra, you can just hide.
Okay.
Run away. Go find him. Now, a lot of smart Junkrats will sit on their tire, so be careful about that, right? He'll wait for you to come for him. But, yeah, you are so equipped to build Riptire. Because the problem also is not just that, you'll survive it more often if you don't rely on your immortality field. But also because you'll be in a better position for this fight right now. Whereas right now, do you see what's happening?
Yeah, it's about to start, and I don't have an offering.
And you're going to lose this fight because of this. I mean, you've been completely ornamental.
Yeah.
You're still ornamental because you're on an angle, but what's the problem with the angle?
It's not a short enough angle.
It's not a short range. That's right. And now it's like, you're still not an angle. We're still not an angle. It's too late. We've lost. GG's. That's it. That's it. Do you want to watch one more fight?
No, I think we win this one. We cap.
I want to watch the first fight in the next round. That work for you?
That's fine. Yeah.
I told the next session we'd be a few minutes over. So
Sure. Oh, my apologies.
No. We started late with you as well. So it's all the sessions run over. It's just how it goes.
Oh, okay.
We're not in a rush. Okay. What do you think? Is this a good short range angle?
It's not short range, but I can make it short range.
Well, hang on. That's it, right? It's not short range right now, but it will be where the fight starts. Do you see how everything revolves around where is this fight going to happen?
Yeah.
Right? And you don't always know that, but you do have to at least predict it. And then you have to be able to adjust accordingly. Does this position give you options? Yes. Will it likely be short range? Yes. If it's not short range, will you be able to fix it? Yes. So let's see.
Okay.
So now all you have to do is pay attention to when and where is my team going. This is good. See, this is where I think you're here. You need to check.
Okay.
You need to check.
Quickly.
If you
check
see,
your shoulders, right?
Right, check your shoulder.
Like
Yeah. If you see your Winston here, you need to be ready to go. But he's not. So here, I might be playing a little bit more patiently. Yes.
Yeah, I see him going, and then we go.
Good. Clutch. And now it doesn't even really... I mean, we'd prefer you to shoot squishies, but it doesn't really matter what you shoot. You were on a great angle. And even though you didn't get that much damage, every penny of damage that you had in that fight mattered. Every little bit mattered there to secure those kills. You set up well. You timed well. You engaged well. Your mechanics were fine. Let's go. One more fight. Just one more, Mom. Just one more. What's the problem?
No short off angle.
No short off angle. You took an off angle, and then Sojourn or Bastion showed up, and you're like, oh, this isn't short. So instead of solving the problem, you've gone back. Solve the problem.
Okay.
Where should you be?
Down the stairs to the right.
I think maybe even just hiding and going right back. Heck, you get ready for this. Drop under angle.
Okay.
You got it? And then you wait until your Winston engages, or you wait until your Forest starts hitting rockets, because this is not an angle. This is looking directly at the enemy team.
Right.
And doing so at range. And that was inevitable. Absolutely inevitable. Either you die there, or you get your recall force, you blink out, and you're out of the fight. Absolutely inevitable. Okay, so let's take some notes here. Sure. What do you need to work on? Not what do you need to understand better, but what do you need to practice better.
Definitely looking at my team.
Check your team's positioning to gauge pre-fight, to gauge timing, and to what's the next thing to work on?
Make sure I'm on a short off angle.
Yeah. And then use that positioning check to take a short ranged off angle. And then once you're on the angle, you should not... What? Remember the first fight in the second round?
Yeah.
The jump
Don't
grab?
give it up.
Don't rotate unnecessarily back and forth. Hold the angle if it's good. Use your resources to duel, not to ADHD.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think mechanics are fine. I think mechanics will get better with time. I think that was not the biggest thing that I think that stood out for you. I think there needs to be a sense of urgency with setting up on the angle. And then once you set up, a sense of patience until it's time for you to pull the trigger. Be comfortable with adjusting your angle depending on if your team fights, let's say, too aggressively. You need to complement that.
Okay. Sure.
And then once you're on that short range angle, all you need to do is just duel. That's when your deathmatch, that's when your blink management and your trigger discipline kicks into play. Do you have any questions?
No, I think this was very helpful.
Okay.